So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzaielic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yeshayahu the prophet, we find then layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. As we read then Yeshayahu the prophet, we must understand firstly why then Israel has destroyed its own prophets, and then later on we should also read what then Daniel the prophet has mentioned regarding then the couple of sons of Ibrahim or Abraham. There are situations where these days the Islamic State is becoming every day stronger, because the word is giving us a few hints as far as how far the sons of Ishmael must then gather and conquer. As we find then in the scripts of Daniel, let's observe then the 11th chapter, the verse 8 and 9, indicating then the Egypt must stand up from the kingdom of the north, and then the sons of Ishmael obviously making Egypt as their headquarters. Now, as far as the Islamic State trying then to overcome the world, we know that's not doable thus far, because the holy instructions are obviously involved with this section, indicating that they are going to be most prominent in northern Africa, Egypt, and many areas of the Middle East. It is true there are many areas of the world that the Islamic people are going to be obviously active. But as far as this world become entirely an Islamic state, it won't take place. However, let's try then understand at least what's going to cause then the Third World War and the final and last war. Contrary of what so many people were thinking as far as the Islamic State provoking then the Third World War, we must understand as far as what China is doing, and what then the Soviet Union is doing, and what Africa is doing. So then, the sons of Ishmael, or then the Muslims, or then the Islamic State, they already have the victory in their hands. If we evaluate the importance of oil, let's only make an evaluation as far as oil is concerned. We know, for instance, from Revelation, you find then the freighters of the earth. Obviously then the Islamic people, they have Muhammad as their prophet, very prominent man during his period. Obviously he had great influence in the Quran, and they are truly very fierce fighters. Then the Messiah is then the prophet of the second son, or then Yitzhak. And both of them are given pieces of understanding, so we can further make sure this information then is true, as far as the Ishmaelites already have the forward motion of the trade of the world, because they hold the most oil. So let's then backtrack a bit and understand what China is doing. China is linking up the world via online. As they are doing this for the next couple of years, uniting the entire country of China, then the rest of the countries are going to start being linked up with the economy of China. And for this to take place, they must have fuel. So then, the Islamic State, they are not going to cause the Third World War. Neither China, neither the Soviet Union. What's going to cause the Third World War is the inability of United States and Israel to maintain a system upgrade on how then to charge taxes. This is the cause of the Third World War. So then, as far as we can read and listen and observe on television, you find then many fighters in the Middle East. They are obviously going through a lot of tribulations and trials, but they are not the cause of the last great war. So then, let's say for instance the Islamic State, when they come together and they understand the unification of Syria, Libya, and the northern parts of Africa, plus the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, when they come together and they realize that then they already have the forward motion of the situation, because they control the most oil. Now, the only trouble at the moment that we are finding is then for the Islamic State then maintain their straightforward motion, but then going to Egypt. That's where they're going to hold then the diplomatic section of who is going to get oil and who is not going to get oil. So Egypt then becomes a place where they make deals with the world of what countries are going to receive the best priced oil. Thus the sons of Ishmael doing their duties. China, however, has a direct link with the Middle East, because they are promoting the e-trade, or then the electronic trade via computer. And then from then on is going to be the inability of the other countries of charging taxes for themselves. Thus then, because of these, then we find then the Third World War coming, because of the lazy stands of both of these countries, Israel and United States. Israel, because they think they are the only God's chosen, and they have their humdrum ways of doing things, repetitious, and they think if the world is against Israel, then God is not with them. But God goes beyond only repetitious things. He wants the entire counsel given not only to His people, but also to the Gentile world. The United States simply they want to play war in this world, and they don't understand the intricacies of the new system. And because they're not going to come up with a system of their own, and because they want to stay always on top, then they can't gather taxes from the new system. So they're going to be always behind with the technology of e-trade and charging and taxing, and that's going to cause in the future the destruction of the world. So then, when we evaluate what they should be fighting for versus then what they are not doing at the moment with the system, determines. So let's hope then for the next few years that these countries of the first world countries, they can understand the importance of upgrading their systems, so then the system of taxes are linked with the freighters, so then they can charge taxes. Because we are not only speaking of religion, we are speaking of areas of promoting religion. And this means trade. Some sort of trade must have in order to promote the religious duties. And China holds it. So then the situation is somewhat manageable. So please stay tuned. Much more coming up.